The Deponia Series. A series of 4 games, although depending on how you purchase them, you can get them either one at a time, or as a group of 3 and 1 extra, or as a group of 4. This was a very clever series. I mean, 4 games released over the span of, well, about 4 years, I would say. It's set on a planet of junk. Literally, the whole place is junk. Well, there's something under the junk, but. Well, it's interesting. And we follow our protagonist, Rufus, as he tries to leave the planet, but ends up saving it. I know that sounds kind of weird. That the savior of the world is someone who wants to leave it, but the simple fact of the matter is, well, yeah, he wants to do what's right. I mean, yeah, he wants to get out of there. He doesn't want to necessarily completely harm anybody, unless they're really a jackass. He's not above taking advantage of someone, but he doesn't want to kill anybody, I don't think. He's a very complex figure. I mean, it all starts with Deponia, where he's trying to leave Deponia. He has actually a decent plan. Rufus is the kind of person that you root for. He's the major reason why some people go to, you know, auto races. Well, that side reason people go to auto races. Everyone wants to go to one auto race to watch the thrill of the sport, but there's always but also deep down they want to see a car crash. Rufus is an example of the thing you have to admire about him is literally he's not about to give up. He's a person who comes up with crazy harebrained schemes, and sometimes they actually do work. Of course, he's also a bit clueless on certain things. However, as he makes his one escape attempt in Deponia, he ends up rescuing a girl from Elysium. Elysium is this floating city where certain people of Deponia culture had gone to years prior. See, it was initially a ship, supposed to be a ship to take them to a new world, a paradise, a utopia. But they forgot about it. Or they've been doing it so long that they forgot the actual truth and came to the conclusion that they were pretty certain Deponia was uninhabited. Goal is part of a group that's going there to, make sure, determine the truth. Of course, there's individuals who are determining the truth that goal is that it is, quote, uninhabited, even if it is inhabited. They've even forgotten about the Organons, who, well, they're sort of like the workers. The very cold calculator workers. You never truly see what the Organons look like, not until closer to the end of the game of the trilogy. Anyhow, Rufus ends up saving her life, albeit it causes her to fall to Deponia and go into a coma. So now Rufus must make his way, you know, to get her the help she needs. Of course, he also has to somehow make sure it is, he that she ends up with. However, in the course of events of, trying to determine who she would go with, even that when she comes to, she does recognize Rufus as the person who she saw that somehow helped her escape, although, she went out of it. He's got to now get her to the Ascension Station, where her, quote, fiancé Cletus is. We don't see Cletus until later in this game. I mean, Rufus is making his way there. And of course, this is through a series of, puzzles that you have to figure out or use a walkthrough. Matching things up, trying to figure out what fits with what. And eventually rescuing her. Of course, this will also go somewhat awry. I mean, first off, he's got to get her back, get her to the Ascension Station to give a restoration of her memory. For some reason, they have their memory stored on, memory disks or memory cartridges. Don't ask me how that works. And so he's successful in getting her there. And this is when we meet Cletus. And Cletus looks an awful lot like Rufus. So, and we find that Cletus is working with the Organons in this effort to, quote, destroy Deponia. Of course, after we rescue Goal, get her memory back, after meeting with Cletus and then, trying to do some trickery to prevent Deponia from being destroyed. But the Organons do have an upper hand here. And they're willing to let Rufus escape to Elysium. But Rufus finds he can't go through with this plan if it means the end of Deponia. Of course, Cletus uses this to his benefit. But Rufus is now also determined not only to get Goal back, but he also wants to save Deponia. I mean, yeah, it's a dump, but it's his dump. And this leads into chaos on Deponia, where now Rufus has a new group of friends to help him. He basically finds a way to launch himself up to the Ascension pod. Somehow managed to rescue Goal and somewhat Cletus, but, Cletus is dumb. And he literally cuts the wire for the lifeboat, causing them all to fall to Deponia. Goal is not in good shape. Well, figuratively, she's physically she looks good still, but her memory's been cracked. In fact, we have to, quote, get everything together so that we can restore her memory. But then what we end up doing is the memory is split into three parts, three different identities. One, we have Lady Goal, the sophisticated one. One, we have Baby Goal, the childish one. And we have Spunky Goal. Of course, we need to reunite these personalities into one mind, and this means that Rufus must somehow convince them all. Now, this is happening in a port city. And we find out in this port city that, well, what we find out is that, well, this city is run by the man who inspired Rufus to try and leave Deponia because he thought the man left Deponia, his father. Of course, his quote father is more of an ass than he is. He likes power. He likes staying in control. And as it plays out, Rufus turns to him for help on how to woo a girl, especially Lady Goal. He ends up dealing, with a betrayal there. And we also learn that Rufus isn't even his biological son. Rufus was what they call a trash baby. This is to help explain certain things. Maybe why he and Cletus look alike. Did Rufus somehow leave Deponia as a baby? Or something like that? Or leave Elysium as a baby? We don't know. But of course, once we woo all three of them, and then of course the resistance comes in because they want to also stop, the whole, well, and the resistance and organized crime, or was it unorganized crime? Anyhow, we have all these people showing up, and due to cartridge mix-up, the quote leader of the organized crime has their mind swapped with Lady Goal. Lady Goal is planning to leave Deponia because, in a realistic sense, this is what's best. And so Rufus and the duo of Baby Goal and Spunky Goal in Goal's body are making their way to one, catch Lady Goal, and then to stop Cletus from getting the ascension codes that he needs. And the Orgonons also want them. So, Cletus and Rufus ends up helping advance the resistance, and we make things all happen, and we finally have a face-off at the tower. And it apparently all goes wrong because, Cletus shows his superiority. But just as it seems, he only needs one of them. But the one of all the personalities and in, I think the woman's name was Donna's body that he got, isn't the one with the codes. Lady Goal turned on him and left to help Rufus. You see, as we find out, Lady Goal realized that Rufus was right, and Rufus's nature sort of grows on her. She's actually seen something likable about his zany antics. And this brings us into Goodbye, Deponia. Because now, as they're escaping and trying to get up to Elysium, to the code so they could stop everything, they end up going to a hotel, the group, to help Goal sort of recover from the whole incident. Of course, we're dealing again with trying to avoid Cletus and make him look like a fool at the same time. He and Rufus manages to do this, leave with Gaul from there, through what is almost a comedy of errors, get on board the Orgonon cruiser, while Rufus is pretending to be Cletus, and does something stupid. So now he's got to erase the fact that he revealed that he wasn't Cletus. And they make their way, but the Orgonons catch him, and this is when the chief Orgonon reveals a key detail. He also looks like Rufus and Cletus. So, what more is going on here? What the hell is all this? I mean, Rufus ends up hiding into what is an interrogator droid or something. And he in turn accidentally appears to kill Goal. We're still not sure. We think she's dead, but we have to bring her back. And he gets, the gets dropped, and we end up being into a facility that makes the Orgonon clones, with a figure named Hermes. And he's able to bring back a Goal to a degree, but not in an adult form. Something makes her a baby. So now Rufus, and of course baby Goal gets lost. So Rufus must now break the cycle. Which is, he is actually very successful at this. But it means creating 3 versions of himself. So they all, quote, go down, each down various pipes. And so they are now separated. One has gone to where the Orgonons are loading up, because the Orgonons are planning to invade Elysium, overtake Elysium. Cletus is now a problem, if anything else. Another Rufus ends up in the sewers underneath, where characters are living, including someone from Rufus's past. And another one, arrives on the upper side. Now, these 3 Rufuses must somehow work together. And I swear, this is one of the more questionable parts of the game, because there are some very messed up things in this chapter. I mean, yeah, this world is messed up to begin with, but this is even more messed up. But in his efforts, one, he has to get Bozo, thinking straight again. He's got to get into the resistance, who is now under the control of a new commander. He's got to, find Goal, get the thing needed to bring her back to her adult stage. Of course, then we find out that Goal is still in one piece. And the Rufus that's been on the Orgonon cruiser starts to piece things together, and this is not Goal. Or this is Goal, but the baby isn't Goal, it's Donna. Now, who could make a mistake? Hermes. That's the one who created them all. He then goes down. Of course, then, the others manage to get into the base. And we find out the new leader of the resistance is Seagull, Rufus's quote father. And while a lot of people will say Rufus was, a klutz, a danger, a scatterbrain, all the sort of things that goes with Rufus, he was at least decent. Well, as decent as he could be. He was the fun pain in the ass, not the mean pain in the ass. Oh, Rufus could be mean-spirited, but even he knew better. It's sort of discovered as, in later entries. Rufus evolves during this game. You see those moments of growth, even though they seem to be trampled by his own assiness. But it ends when the plans to, get the ascension codes and bring a stop to this goes very awry. Not necessarily through any fault of Rufus's own or any of the Rufuses. Luckily, we see Seagull get hit what he deserves. And Goal points out that what we need right now is a crazy cockamamie plan. Just the thing that Rufus is good at. And so, they take it into account. He gets launched up there. They get launched up there in an effort to stop the destruction of Deponia. Rufus poses as the head of the Orgonons, Argus, I believe. Of course, this almost gets, goes awry, especially when they meet Ulysses, who's actually Goal's father. And once he realizes that, Goal is on board this as well, now he can't go through with the plan to destroy Deponia because, he wanted to do... Ulysses was hoping to do this so that his daughter would get to a better world. However, things are going wrong. And so, the trio of Rufus, Cletus, and Argus go out to do what they can to stop the self-destruction. Which will cause all these problems, to make things worse. In the end, what happens is this. In an effort to save Deponia, while Argus is lost trying to, reset the fans and all that and get them back to working, or the turbines that will carry the high boat back up to Elysium. Rufus and Cletus are hanging on for dear life. There's only time to save one of them. And Rufus realizes that in order for any of them to survive, for anybody to survive, one of them, either Rufus or Cletus, must sacrifice their life. Rufus knows Cletus isn't about to do it. And so Rufus sacrifices himself, falling from a height that should kill him. Gold takes Cletus, who now pretending to be Rufus, to discuss plans. I think she knows it's not Rufus. But everybody's life is saved. The Organons, the Deponians, the Elysiums. But they have to figure things out now. It's a place to start, knowing that Deponia is still inhabited. You can't justify the genocide. It's actually hard to justify genocide if you know it's genocide. But what happens in the end is that Rufus falls to his death. This ends the original trilogy, but then in 2016 they released a fourth game, Deponia Doomsday. And it would open with Goal reflecting on this and wondering on the events of the first games and wondering if anything could have been done differently, maybe saving Rufus. Well, we then get jumped forward in the game to a time in the future where Rufus is older. He somehow survived. But Deponia seems to be in a nuclear winter. There are creatures called Dulocks around. The name is a parody of the Morlocks from Time Machine. That's something about this series. You could catch some cheeky little jokes that they poke in, and they did it brilliantly when they did those jokes. And Rufus is about to set off the explosions that will destroy Deponia, because it's in such a bad state. We then have a flashback, where we go back to just before the events of the games, as Rufus is preparing for his latest attempt to take his girlfriend Tony and he up to Elysium. We also learn that their falling out happened because of broken glasses. And we also learn some other things. In the course of events, while Rufus is trying to prevent those from being destroyed by McChronicle, a man who is studying time travel and all that, and who's part of a very, very odd family. I mean, McChronicle is, quote, the youngest of the family. He is the recent generation. You'll meet his father and grandfather in the game as you advance. And McChronicle is trying to avoid messing with time travel or anything like that. But in turn, resets time, allowing them to, hopefully avoid destroying the glasses. But there's a pink elephant causing a problem. However, in the course of events, and something happens to McChronicle's time machine, or time device, so Rufus and McChronicle must now find another time machine, which they do, and they end up traveling to Elysium in the future, where all hell is breaking loose. Well, we don't know how. We run into Goal, this goal is determined to change things. Because she's pretty certain where everything went wrong. But this also causes McChronicle and Rufus to somehow end up on Elysium prior to the events of the trilogy. In fact, before Goal goes down with Cletus to Deponia, which she tricked him into taking her along. But now Rufus has to somehow thinking if he prevents that from happening, still have gold, then we can prevent a lot of things. However, in order to do that, he must somehow first get down to the fun zone to earn enough points to earn a meeting with the Council of Elders. But there's a problem. See, every time he finishes things in the fun zone, it resets the clock. This is when the time loop resets. So he ends up finagling things and helping the council, first getting the points and then getting the council up there because they've been too busy with other things, i.e., getting a sauna, i.e., getting a workout or a massage, wanting to get a decent massage, fixing the petting zoo area, trying to find a cute critter, make the proper meal or something. So Rufus is busy doing all that. And because of that, he somehow also creates the Dulocs. But when time resets again, the Dulocs are still there. So now the Dulocs have been are going out of control, increasing in numbers. The trio of Rufus, Goal, and McChronicle end up falling back down to Deponia because of all this. And now they have to get back, figure out what the hell's going on. Why do they keep going through time loops? They end up falling down to an area that has a carnival, and Rufus has got to and the only way to move downriver to where they need to go is by boat, and the only boat is in the Tunnel of Love. And you have to convince the person who runs the ride to, let them go. So, of course, as Rufus gets everybody back together, rescuing McChronicle from being stuck on the roller coaster, and trying to get people, the love, the love that love boat, tunnel of love type ride, canal love or whatever. You need to show them a picture that you got a couple in love. So instead of taking a picture with Goal, he tries to create a fake one, which we find out later Goal had the same idea, except she was making a duplicate of Rufus, which we discover when they finally, advance and get down to the college area. But that whole carnival area, there are some moments that are very throwback, like a throwback to like Eye of the Beholder in there and other things. But then Rufus gets down there, and we get to the college. And we meet McChronicle's father, who looks like a kid. They're still trying to figure that one out. And Rufus has to pose as a teacher, proving the existence of interim time, a time bubble where time goes at a different pace. Of course, Goal is showing her displeasure with Rufus, and then after we finally figure out how to create portals to this interim time, which should help us stop things, Rufus goes to get her so they can, do this, and, uh, well, uh, that's when we discover she had she had the same idea as Rufus had, showing again that charm. They end up going into this interim time and learn some things. First, we find that older Goal there. She's been there for a long time. They also have problems with the Fulocks, or the Dulocks. There's a Fulocks. It's one of the two. We also meet McChronicle's grandfather. McChronicle looks more like a middle-aged man. The kid looks his father looks like a kid, and his grandfather looks like, a strapping young man. I think that would be the right term. And this is an area where time has really no meaning. So Rufus has to maneuver things around. I mean, we run into a caveman who is actually very intellectually sound. And then a character who is there not only as his young self, but his old self. And that they're looking for a future. Well, as things play out, this Paradox City is our next to last thing. It allows us to jump to different points and allows us to change certain things to break out of things. However, it is also during this that we learn what happened. You see, we come across the Utopians, who are very elephant-like. And so to disguise themselves and make sure things happen as they're supposed to happen, they disguise as a pink elephant. Don't try and figure that one out. There's no logic. And they are determined to make sure things happen, because if the Elysiums get to Utopia, well, it's bad. They want to make sure things happen correctly. But the thing is that because of all this time rewinding and all the time jumping and the portal jumping and that they've been doing, they've actually created so many goddamn time loops that there's only one way to correct it all. And that is to stop the main one that causes all the trouble. See, with all these time loops and Rufus going through them and all that, he has gone through them so many times it's given him time to figure things out. And that there is a second Rufus that can stop it all. This is one that is at the key moment. You see, during one of these jumps, we come to where Goal rescued Rufus. But this is the one that started it all. See, Goal rescued Rufus. It's one future Goal. And because she does not let go of Rufus and doesn't let him fall to his death, the Utopians do something to cause them to fall to their death. Except Rufus doesn't die. Gold dies. And so this is the Rufus that's going to destroy the world. So, the second Rufus that's figured this all out must convince Goal to just let them go. And he does. And Rufus again falls to his death. But, again, he has saved Deponia, he has saved the Elysiums, the Organons, and even the Utopians. It's not many games that have a time twist in there that does things so beautifully. This is one of the better ones. This is a good series. It should definitely stay as a point and click, although there were talks that a fifth game was in the works, but I don't know. But that one's going to be more of a crafting game, open world crafting type game. But this is a good game. This was a good series. I recommend anyone who has a chance to play it to play it. And that's all I'm going to say about the series as a whole. I mean, it had all those beautiful nods and in-jokes and all that. And while Rufus is not necessarily the best protagonist in the world, there are guys that make him more. That make him shine. Either by realizing he's a decent person, he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing sometimes, to they're so much worse. If you love a good story that really blends some things in a spectacularly good way, I'd go with it. If you like seeing something that has some clever in-jokes or of sorts, yeah, definitely play this series. You'll love it. You have to laugh at it. Some of its plot twists may seem ridiculous, but then again, the whole concept is on the loony side, so it fits all right in. But as I said, that's all I'm saying about the Deponia series. I do recommend getting it. I thank you if you've listened all the way to the end of this. Take care and have fun all. Bye.